Marathon Meeples Top 100 Games, 50 to 41. If you want to watch the entire series, make sure to hit the subscribe button.
Jumping right in at number 50, Concordia. I have a confession. I didn't want to play Concordia due to the box art of it. I know it's very shallow, but I was just like, oh, that looks dry. And the art is dry, but the gameplay is great. In Concordia, everybody is just on a map, and there's a number of maps at this point. You're going around, you're trying to lay down your villages, and you're trying to trade goods, and whether you do it across land or across sea. The card play is really simple. You just have a hand of cards, you can add to it later on, and you pretty much have one action per turn. So you just lay it down, you can either move, you can do some different things. So there's more going on. For such a simplistic rule set, there's actually a lot of decision making. What do you think about it?
I quite enjoy it, and there's a bit of a race element to it because certain places cost a lot more if somebody else has already built there. So it's a little bit of an area control race element, all while trying to build out your villages.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This is a game, like, everything is a space theme now. I'm surprised this has not been rethemed with generally the same mechanics in, like, space or who knows what.
I prefer this.
Well,
no space.
No space. Okay, all right.
49 is Keyflower. You're seeing the city of London because Matthias made me choose. You can keep one or the other.
That's not true.
And
I wanted to keep both. You didn't like the...
I hate, and I know hate is a strong word, I believe they are the purple meeples?
I think they're green.
Oh, maybe green meeples. The ones that you have to buy, and that's the only way you can get them, and then somebody can bid with them, and if you didn't buy some of those meeples, you're gonna get outbid every time. This one loved that aspect, and I lost tile after tile after tile, and he'd bid one lousy stinking green meeple. So, nonetheless, it left our collection, and we kept Key to the City. So, because you don't have that bidding mechanism, it is a little bit, I would say, of more of a simplistic version, but it has amazing 3D little statues to go with the different land marks in London, and I love that. I absolutely love the 3D aspect and the cute structures.
Well, you like London, because you lived in London for a bit. I'm sure she'll say that in multiple videos. I feel like this is Keyflower Light. I would always play regular Keyflower. There's not that many more rules, but there's just such a better game there, I think. And there's also a couple expansions, so you can add some different things. This is just a one-off production. I think they were testing the waters just to see, all right, will this work? Can I make a Keyflower London, New York, San Francisco, whatever? And they stopped here. So if you're going to get a Keyflower, I recommend it. Get the original one.
Unless you love London.
Unless you love London. Okay.
Number 48 is Azul. This is a tile laying, pattern building game. Really kind of simple idea. You draft tiles each turn, you put them on your board, but there are a few little rules as to where they can go, how they can go. The base game comes with a two-sided board so that you have the starter version where it tells you where you can put your tiles, and then there is the more advanced side of the board which makes you develop your pattern. I really like it. I find it's an approachable game for anybody, and you can get it on the table within, let's say, a 5-minute teach.
Yeah, I think the chunky components help to get to the table. I think this is like the modern #1 abstract game. I can't think of an abstract game that would be rated higher with gamers, or even just something that's so accessible. Barnes & Noble, Walmart's, Targets, wherever you want to go, you can find it. And it's a good game, so I enjoy it. We have not gone too far into the Azul system, but I think we are going to like test the waters and try some of the different versions, because now it's almost become an IP and they're expanding it out. But we do like on our list the OG. Anytime I can say OG, I'm going to do it.
I know.
47, Super Motherlode, a game I sold, which I shouldn't have, because you love that game.
I loved it, except he fast played it sometimes.
I did fast play it, but I think I played the rules incorrectly when we did that. The reason I got rid of it was because they were supposed to be doing a Super Motherlode 2, and I'm very bad at getting rid of games when I think the second version's coming, because I feel like, oh, well, the old one's going to devalue. bad decision because they've only done the one Super Mother Lode, and it's great. So if you like digging games, if you just think old video games, I think this is actually based on a video game IP. You're just digging down and you're trying to collect resources and gems and whatnot. You have to go through different kind of terrains. You got to go through rocks. You have to use different kinds of machines. The art's a little bit kind of funky and weird. I know you didn't like the art style, but
it did its job.
The game itself, I think, is great. I love it. It's a great tile building game. You're just laying your tiles over the areas that you've dug, capturing your resources. It's great across multiple player counts. There's nothing really bad I can say about it except I was waiting for that second edition.
Yeah, Matthias and out of print or second editions is a disaster for a board game collection.
I'll have to do a video on like collection building, the minutia of collection building.
Yeah, and nobody take his advice.
On that wonderful don't take his advice note, here comes 46, I think it's 46, yes, Railroad Revolution. So this game was much maligned upon release because it had a broken strategy. So what they did was they eventually came out with an expansion add-on that came with a brand new board. They fixed the rules and they added quite a bit, and I think they only charged like 20 bucks. It was a reasonable price for a small company. What's your game? This is a network building worker placement game where you're buying stocks, you're expanding out across the USA, and there's a bunch of different like cool mechanics where you're going up different tracks, gaining different bonuses. Basically, from a train game standpoint, there's a lot going on, but there's not too many rules. It's not like playing an 1800s game that you're still kind of expanding out. It's like a Euro version of a heavier train game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're a tycoon building stations and building roads.
So if you do get this, I think you have to get the expansion, or I think they might be coming out with a new edition as that just kind of caked into the base game.
Number 45 is Root. And who doesn't like the adorable cute woodland creatures that come in this game? So it is an area control game, which I'm normally not a huge fan of, but you add in the cute artwork, the really sweet little meeples that come with it, and quite frankly, if I'm building a nest and I'm catapulting things, or I'm attacking his little Marcus the cats, I'm totally okay with that. I don't know why. Theme alone on this one caught my attention, but I really do enjoy the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. This, to me, is like a war game with asymmetrical kind of different powers going on, but they wrapped it in this cute little shell that I can get her to play it. So a lot of the other war games you want nothing to do with. So I think that was a genius move on their part. The theming, everything is great. They're constantly adding to the system. I don't know how many factions there are now. There's 4 in the box and probably another 8, 10 outside of that through the different expansions, but everybody plays differently. So I think it is a great system, and I just love to see kind of like some of these war game mechanics. I think Nemo's War, which is also very much a war game, but it has the Ian O'Toole art, is now getting a little more mainstream. I like how some of these games are starting to kind of work their way over a little bit. So Root, awesome.
Number 44 is Wingspan. I'm sure anybody watching this video is very familiar with this game. It has the Beth Sobel artwork. It is a well-designed kind of set collection resource management game where you are trying to build a wildlife, I think it's a refuge, and you're trying to attract birds, but you need to feed them the right things. And if you are very good at this game, you can create some epic chain reactions, and alone those chain reactions can win you the game if you set it up properly. So that's one thing. If you are a brand new player and you are playing with someone who's quite experienced, you're likely going to get trounced unless they play nicely in the sandbox.
Yeah, I'd say bird's the word with this one. Component quality, I think for the price point is one of the best out there, period. With the quality of the cards, you get a dice tower, you get eggs, you get tons of stuff. And it's also interactive because you play a number of cards that are like, if your opponent does this, you get a resource. Vice versa, things like that. So it's not just a multiplayer solitaire game. I think it's almost become like a staple of a lot of board game collections. I think a lot of people will start their collections. They have the Catans, Ticket to Rides, the Azules, and probably Wingspan is finding its way into that conversation. I think that's a good thing because I think this is a great gateway game. It's also, like, I know gamers that just love playing it as well. Number 43, Great Western Trail. We have the older edition. They've just come out with a new edition with new art, but I don't think it affects the gameplay that much. This is a great kind of pick up and deliver route building game. You're just grabbing cows. You're working your way up. You're trying to deliver them to a train up in Kansas City, I think it is. Yep. And then you're just going across. You're getting your points. So this is very much a Euro, but it's also interactive because you can take some of the spots on the board. People have to pay you rent, essentially. You can go into danger zone. You're adding a lot of different characters. Once you play it a couple times, it's pretty intuitive. I think it's one of my top Euros, and we just don't hit the table enough with this. Why didn't we not play this more?
I don't know. I think it gets better at 3 players, to be honest, because you're building buildings and you're upgrading your buildings as you go, and you're using those as hopping stones to get your way up to sell those cows. So the more players you have, the more stepping stones, and these stepping stones give you actions. People can upgrade them. They're all printed buildings on the board that everybody has use for, but there is definitely something to be said. The more players, the more there's going on that board. But if you are playing at 4 players, it can sometimes become a long game.
Yeah, it depends on the type of player you're playing against. If somebody's more AP, this game will take a while. If you are going to get a copy, I would recommend don't get the version that we have. Get the new edition, because I think they're almost turning this into an IP where now they're going to have a whole bunch of different, Great Western Trail, X, Y, Z, whatever it is. So get the new one, but definitely recommend at least trying it.
Coming in at number 42 is Castles of Burgundy. This was one of the early games of our collection, and we truly enjoyed this game. You are building out your princedom. You are collecting tiles, putting tiles on your princedom based on the dice rolls that you have. So you roll up these dice, and they're going to control what you can do, what actions you can take, and then where you can put them on your board. So it was a game that we played a lot when our collection was quite small, and then we wanted to kind of spread our wings. We had felt like we played it out a little bit, but that being said, I would never tone down a game of this, but right now it is not living in our collection.
Well, they have a new anniversary edition. So we had the original edition. The new anniversary edition has new art. I don't like the new art, but it has new art, and it comes with like 10 expansion boards. So that differs it up. So I might bring it back in at some point. Just be forewarned. More games. We need more, right? Yay! Yes. Number 41. And this was like this is in my top 10. This Mage Knight, this is one of the ultimate solo games. You are a knight. You are going around, you're basically pillaging towns. You can be a good guy, you can be a bad guy. You're working your way across the land, gaining loot, getting more powerful as the game goes on, to an ultimate end game goal where you're going to attack one or a number of castles to take them over. It is complex. It comes with 2 rule books. It's notorious for basically having convoluted rules. They do have now an ultimate big box edition that comes with a number of expansions. But if you are a solo gamer, you have to play Mage Knight, or I think Star Trek Frontiers is the other version of this, and that might be a little simpler. It is like the ultimate for solo gamers. You can play it multiplayer, but this game is long enough as it is. This is 3-4 hours, and this is probably of all my board games I have, maybe outside of Cloudspire, is when I play this, I don't realize that like an afternoon is gone. I'm just like, I am right in, crunchy, doing math. I know it doesn't sound like fun to you, but I'm all about it. So Mage Knight, 41, should be higher.
I offered to learn this game, and I got toned down.
But I could teach it to her.
Immediately.
Well,
it was, I enjoy this game. Teaching it to you will ruin it a little bit for me, so I'm not going to. So again, just like in the other video, guess what that means? Free time for this one.
Well, hey, Lisa, here's...
Shopping vacation?
Well, yeah, you need help with those.
Bing, bing.
Here's the rule book, if you care to learn it, but I am not going to walk you through. The one thing about this game is it has, like, exceptions. You play this card, see Rule 18, and then it's just... You constantly have to be referring to things.
War game rule book.
It's pretty much a war game. Yes, I would agree. All right. So that does it for this round. We will be back next time with 40 to 31. If you want to watch the rest of our videos, hit the subscribe button, and we'll be back in a few days.